In life, we all have circles of competency. That is, domains where our skills are best applied, most useful, most fruitful. Unfortunately, due to a large degree of ego, a dose of Dunning-Kruger, and a fair amount of mythology, traders seem to lose sight of this. For some reason, they tend to use a popular current phrase, they tend to drift out of their lane. They forget what their domain of competency is with regard to trading. In many ways, this comes about because traders are lazy. They don't track their results, so they can't actually tell what part of their business is making money. The other is that traders are uniquely prone to mythology. They're uniquely prone to the influence of others, things they hear. For example, it's often said that to be profitable, you have to trade market X in this particular way. Because if you don't do that, you'll never make any money. Now let's put that into a practical context. Let's assume that your trading system and profitability revolves around trading S&P 500 stocks over the long term. And all of a sudden, on a whim, you decide that the way to make a fortune is to intraday trade cryptos. How do you think that will go? You already have a domain of competency. You have an area of trading where you apply alpha, you bring skill, you make money. And all of a sudden, you want to simply push that aside and, on a whim, because you've heard, because you think, because your ego tells you to, that you should begin to trade something else in a completely different way. For most people, they will not see the difficulty or friction within that. But let me replay the thought experiment slightly differently. Let's imagine that you're an investor in a superannuation fund, and your fund's manifesto is that it trades S&P 500 stocks over the long term. And in doing so, it has managed to outperform the market for the past, let's pick a number, 30 years. And all of a sudden you get a notification from your fund manager, it's one of those little letters to investors, that says, yes, look, we know we've done very well doing this, but what we're now going to do is we're going to trade Bitcoin using 1-minute charts. What do you think your reaction would be? Would it be to go, that's fabulous, I'm all in, I'm going to sell a house and put everything with these people? Or would it be, are you mental? No, I think I'll take my money and go somewhere else. But that critical decision making is lacking in individuals. And I said it was in part ego, part Dunning-Kruger. We all have friends who, when the Olympics are on, will be sitting there on the couch with a stubby and some chips, and they will be watching something like, let's say, gymnastics. In terms of athletic ability, I would consider that gymnasts are not the 1%ers. They're the 1% of the 1% of the 1% in terms of their physical ability. Their physical abilities appear almost superhuman. And this friend of yours will casually lean over and go, give me 6 weeks, I could be doing that. Mate, you can't even get off the couch. So let alone throwing yourself through the air with the greatest of ease. That's completely beyond you. But this is where ego comes in. And ego afflicts many of us in different ways. We've noticed over the years through doing the mentor program that people who come from high-performing professions, and not to mention any names, doctors, assume that because they're highly skilled in one arena, that they have a great deal of training in one area, that automatically pervades every other thing they do. Unfortunately, this halo effect that they have is a recipe for disaster, because none of us are as clever as we think we are. But I also mentioned that in part the problem is one of laziness. Very few traders actually track their results in any meaningful way. They think that if they occasionally look at the dealing system and it tells them there's an amount of money in there, that's tracking their results. Tracking your results means that you pull the results apart. You see where your business is making money, where it's not making money. And you stick to where it's making money. Because it might be that you're very, very, very good at making red widgets, but for some reason some idiot on the internet has told you that you have to make blue widgets. And you are absolutely crap at making blue widgets, but you persist in making blue widgets. But the interesting thing is you don't know you're crap because you don't actually track how your production of widgets is going and how much you make per widget. So the issue becomes, it moves from being psychological to being practical, in that if you don't know where you're making money, you can't actually apply your skill set to that. But the overarching theme is really quite a simple one. It's find out what you are good at and do that and just keep doing that. And don't be concerned about what other people say you should be doing, because other people's opinion applies to them, not to you. It's only of importance to you if you choose to take it on board. Their opinion of you and what you should be doing is something that's completely out of your control. And because it's completely out of your control, it actually has no power over you. But what does have power over you is your belief system about what you should or should not be doing. And again, that belief system is not often rooted in fact. It's rooted in mythology, what your ego thinks you should be doing. Toss in probably a fair amount of greed, and you have a recipe for disaster. So as they say, the smart thing to do is to pull your head in and stay in your own lane.